Welcome to the Mind Cut series.
Great to be diving into this.
Yeah, so let's just jump in. Healthy eating, right? It feels like everyone's got an opinion, and frankly, it can be super confusing.
Totally. You're trying to eat well, maybe feeling tired, battling those sugar cravings or, bloating.
Exactly, and you hear so much conflicting stuff.
Right. So our mission here really is to cut through some of that noise. We want to simplify things, looking at key ideas from experts on nutrition and, well, just feeling better.
And it's important to say, there's no single answer for everyone, right?
Absolutely not. The goal is more about understanding the basic principles, the foundations, so you can make choices that actually work for you sustainably.
It ties into this idea of being more proactive with our health, doesn't it? Not just waiting for problems.
Precisely. And understanding your body better, maybe through data. Like we've talked about function health, getting those comprehensive biomarker tests.
Yeah, like 200 markers for around $500 a year. That's pretty powerful data.
It really is. But then
Then you get the results. And it's this huge list of numbers and terms. And you think, okay, now what? It can feel overwhelming.
Oh, completely. That feeling is totally valid. It looks complex.
Yeah.
But the key takeaway, I think, is that understanding some basic markers is actually doable.
Yeah.
And super valuable. You don't need a PhD.
Okay, so let's break that down.
Yeah.
What are the key ones we should focus on?
Well, the sources point to 5 metabolic biomarkers that are pretty much free to track or very low cost.
Right. You've got fasting glucose,
Triglycerides.
HDL cholesterol, the good kind.
Yep. Waist circumference and blood pressure.
And there are optimal ranges we're aiming for, ideally without medication, like glucose under 100 milli-GDL.
HDL over 40 for men, 50 for women. Triglycerides under 150.
Blood pressure below 130/85, and waist under 35 inches for women, 40 for men.
Exactly. And these 5, they tell a story.
What story is that? How do they connect?
Well, think about your cell's mitochondria. They're like little energy furnaces, right? Burning fuel, mostly glucose. If those furnaces aren't working well or they're overloaded, glucose piles up in your blood. That's rising fasting glucose.
Ah, makes sense. And triglycerides.
That's often excess glucose your body couldn't burn, so it converts it to fat for storage. Again, points back to those struggling mitochondria.
So mitochondrial dysfunction is kind of a central theme here.
It often is, yeah. And low HDL. HDL is like the cleanup crew for cholesterol in your arteries.
Taking it back to the liver.
Right. If your metabolic health is off, the liver doesn't make enough good quality HDL. So low HDL means less efficient cleanup.
Got it. And waist circumference isn't just about how your pants fit.
Definitely not. It's a good proxy for visceral fat, the dangerous kind around your organs.
Which messes with organ function and insulin resistance.
Exactly. Again, often linked back to those overloaded cellular furnaces.
And blood pressure, how did that fit in?
High insulin, often from those same metabolic issues, messes with nitric oxide production.
Nitric oxide helps blood vessels relax.
Yep. Less nitric oxide, higher blood pressure. So these 5 markers give you this surprisingly holistic view of your metabolic engine.
And the scary part is, most adults aren't hitting those optimal ranges.
It's true. Which really highlights why taking practical steps is so crucial.
Okay, let's get practical then. What's the first habit? Something simple.
Super simple, actually, but often overlooked. Just eat slower.
We've all heard it, but does it really make that much difference?
The data's pretty striking. People who eat the slowest, they have a 4 times lower likelihood of developing metabolic syndrome.
Wow, 4 times.
Yeah. It's not just what you eat. It's profoundly about how.
We're always rushing, grabbing food on the go.
Exactly. And think about how family meals, actually sitting down at a table, have declined.
Yeah, that's true.
Just slowing down, being mindful, chewing properly. It gives your body time to register fullness, improves digestion. It's basic, but powerful.
Guilty as charged on the fast lunch front sometimes. Okay, good reminder. What's next? Breakfast seems to be a big one.
Oh, huge. This is where many people kind of unknowingly set themselves up for failure later in the day.
How so?
We tend to start with sweet stuff. Orange juice, smoothies, even the healthy ones, cereal, dried fruit.
Even regular fruit, like grapes, are bred to be much sweeter now, right?
Exactly. So you get this massive glucose spike first thing.
And what goes up must come down.
Right. You crash, then you feel tired, you get cravings later. It's that roller coaster.
So the alternative? Ditch the sweet start.
Pretty much. Switch to savory. Build your breakfast around protein.
Like eggs, tofu,
Yeah.
Greek yogurt.
Yep. Protein powder and something unsweetened, maybe leftover fish or chicken if you're up for it. Add healthy fats.
What if you really want something sweet?
Maybe a small amount of whole low-sugar fruit like berries. Or, here's the trick. Save those sweet breakfast foods for dessert after lunch or dinner.
So eating them with other food buffers the impact.
Exactly. The protein, fat, and fiber already in your system slow down that glucose absorption, much less of a spike.
That makes a lot of sense. Breakfast really does set the tone for the whole day's energy and cravings.
It absolutely does. That initial spike and crash messes with your hormones all day. A savory, protein-rich start stabilizes blood sugar. More energy, fewer cravings.
But what if you're used to sugar? Cutting it out sounds rough.
It can be. You might get withdrawal symptoms, but you don't necessarily have to go cold turkey.
So a gradual approach?
Maybe. Or just try delaying the sugar. Have it later in the day instead of first thing. That can ease the transition.
The goal isn't just weight loss, right? It's feeling good.
Exactly. It's about being craving-free, having stable energy. That's the real win. Now, another interesting how, not just what is the order you eat your food in.
Okay, this one blew my mind a bit. Changing the sequence can make that big a difference.
It's pretty remarkable. Research suggests you can cut the post-meal glucose spike by up to 75%.
75%?
Yeah.
Just by changing the order. How?
By eating your vegetables first.
Veggies first. Why?
The fiber in the vegetables coats the lining of your upper intestine. Think of it like creating a protective mesh.
Okay, a mesh.
Yeah, and this mesh slows down how quickly the glucose from the rest of your meal, the starches, the sugars, gets absorbed into your bloodstream.
Ah, that's counterintuitive. Most people eat veggies last, or as a side.
Right, and think about restaurants.
The bread basket comes out first thing when you're starving.
Exactly. Refined carbs, boom, big glucose spike. Then, maybe 90 minutes later, your blood sugar crashes.
Just in time for them to offer dessert.
Precisely. That crash triggers sugar cravings. It's almost perfectly timed.
Sneaky. So the strategy is veggies first, always.
Pretty much. Start with your non-starchy vegetables, then your protein and fats, and save the starches bread, rice, pasta for the end of the meal.
Let the fiber shield do its work first.
You got it. And it's not even a new idea, really. Think about French crudités, Italian antipasti, Middle Eastern herbs and salads at the start of a meal.
Right, traditional wisdom. We're just understanding the why now. Okay, simple but effective. Let's switch gears to supplements. It's a minefield out there.
Oh, absolutely. So much information, so many products. Overwhelming is the word.
Where do you even start?
Well, first principle. Look at the other ingredients. Minimize fillers and additives. Things like microcrystalline cellulose or soy lecithin can cause digestive issues for some people.
Less is more with the ingredient list.
Definitely. And always remember, food first. Supplements are just that, supplementary. They fill gaps. They don't replace a good diet.
Makes sense. But are there some core supplements that many people might actually need?
The sources point to a few usual suspects. Vitamin D is a big one.
Especially liposomal D.
Yep.
You need a blood test, right?
Yeah.
Aiming for 50-80 NGML.
Yep. D3 with K2 is usually recommended.
Yeah.
Then omega-3s from fish oil or algae if you're vegan, vegetarian.
Okay.
Magnesium, super common deficiency. Creatine is another one with solid science, about 5 to 8 grams daily. Not just for muscles. Maybe something like AG1 or a good multivitamin if your veggie intake isn't consistently great.
Protein powders for convenience.
Yeah, they can help. Supergut gets a mention for its mix of resistant starch, protein, fiber, and then things like ashwagandha or glycine for sleep and stress.
It's easy to think, oh, I feel fine, I don't need supplements. But the anecdote about low vitamin D, despite feeling energetic, is telling.
It really is. It highlights this shift towards needing to be the CEO of your own health.
Managing by data, not just feeling.
Exactly. Track key things, muscle mass, body fat, those vitamin levels. Don't just rely on how you feel day to day, because low D, for example, might not feel bad now, but it has long-term consequences.
Right, proactive management. Okay, moving on to snacks. Another area full of hidden traps.
For sure. Packaged snacks often have these incredibly long ingredient lists, stuff you can't even pronounce.
Additives like soy lecithin again, unhealthy seed oils.
Yep, those omega-6s and 9s, that can be inflammatory. The rule of thumb is simple. Fewer ingredients you recognize. If you wouldn't cook with it, maybe don't eat it.
Plant milks are a perfect example of healthy labels being misleading sometimes.
Oh, definitely. Almond milk, often very few almonds, maybe canola oil, high fructose corn syrup.
Plus phytic acid, oxalates, the environmental concerns.
Right, and oat milk can spike blood sugar like crazy for some people, like drinking Coke. Often has glyphosate residue, also high in phytic acid. And honestly, for the price, is there much actual nutrition in there?
Questionable. So better plant milk options?
Macadamia milk gets mentioned, though it can be pricey or needs making at home. Coconut milk is okay, but the taste isn't for everyone.
And the big thing is, most plant milks have hardly any protein.
Virtually none, usually. It's not a replacement for dairy milk in that sense. And this less is more idea applies to protein bars, too.
Aim for whole foods mostly, but an occasional processed bar isn't the end of the world.
Exactly. It's about the overall pattern. Processed foods often need all those additives simply because the processing strips out natural flavor. They have to add it back in artificially.
Makes you really want to read those labels carefully. Okay, let's talk protein needs. How much do we actually need?
The general guideline seems to be around 0.8 to 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body weight daily.
Lean body weight, not total weight.
Okay. And protein quality matters. There's this thing called the amino acid availability score. Animal proteins generally score higher than plant proteins.
Meaning our bodies can use them more efficiently for building muscle and stuff.
Pretty much. Getting enough complete protein, all the essential amino acids purely from plants, can be tricky without careful planning or using processed plant proteins.
What about for vegetarians?
Dairy and eggs are fantastic, high-quality options. For meat eaters, beef and bison often come out on top for amino acid profile.
There was that interesting point about ethical meat eating to the one death feeds everyone idea, comparing it to industrial plant agriculture's impact.
Yeah, and the suggestion to practice gratitude before eating meat, it adds a different perspective.
What about chicken? Everyone thinks chicken is the go-to healthy protein.
It can be, but most commercial chicken isn't great quality. Lower protein usability, higher inflammatory omega-6 fats. Pasture-raised, heritage breeds are better. Or just eat the eggs from those chickens.
So getting enough good protein plant-based is a real challenge.
It can be. Hemp protein, especially with fat removed, is mentioned as a better plant option score-wise, and maybe using ghee could help nutrient absorption from plants.
Good tips. Oh, and the oxalate warning too, right? Spinach, kale, almonds, raspberries can contribute to kidney stones for some.
Yeah, something to be mindful of if you're susceptible and eating large amounts of those foods.
Okay, wow. We've covered a ton. From those basic biomarkers to eating slowly, breakfast swaps, food order, supplements, label reading, protein.
It really comes back to understanding how food actually fuels your body, doesn't it, on a deeper level?
Yeah. Knowing about blood sugar, protein, supplements. It gives you the power to take control.
That's the goal, isn't it? For you, the listener, to feel empowered to make informed choices. We want everyone to live these long, healthy, happy lives.
And it's not just physical, right? Eating better impacts everything.
Totally. Mental clarity, emotional stability, even, spiritual well-being. It's all connected.
It is amazing, though, when you think about it, how much we still don't fully understand about the incredibly complex dance between nutrition and our overall health.
Absolutely. Science is always evolving, which is why it's so important to stay curious, keep learning, keep questioning. Don't just accept things, dig deeper for yourself.